So there are not always a ton of male psychologists in the field, and I want to talk with Dr. Mercedes today about some of the differences about what leads men into this field. And recently, a colleague of mine, we were chatting, and this person said to me, heterosexual, so straight men who go into and become psychologists are narcissists. And I thought about that, and I was like, wow, that's a really powerful statement.
That is a very powerful statement.
Right, and probably not true. It's one of these generalizations, these stereotypes. But I'm wondering, have you interacted with a lot of straight men? I mean, have you found a lot of people similar to yourself who are in this field?
Well, the funny thing is that originally psychologists was sort of primarily ran by men, right? But and I'm not sure what sexual orientation was that. But then there's been a significant shift in terms of the gender, right, of who represents psychologists today. One thing I do tell you though, like I find consistently that people make comments or raise questions about my sexual orientation. If I am either too touchy or too feely, or they bring up this sort of like idea that, well, if you're a psychologist and you seem to be very in touch with your emotions.
Right, what's going on with you?
Yeah, then there's the pause.
Well, so then we're talking about gender stereotypes. This idea
absolutely.
that as a man I have to be, no, I don't have to be any kind of way. I'm going to be who I am. But that's because I don't fall into that group, right? But when you're thinking about the gender stereotypes, there is a piece of you that says you have to hold yourself a certain kind of way. And if you become too sensitive, I mean, is there such a thing as being too sensitive?
Listen, I guess depending on subjective experiences, some people could be like, well, that's too sensitive for me.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think that everyone experiences emotions, or everybody experiences some form of connection with other people, and some people are more aware of it, and other people.
So we were talking about this idea of being a heterosexual male psychologist, like Dr. Manny Mercedes, not like myself, and sort of like how that, and we were just having this conversation that there are oftentimes gay men who might come into the therapy room, they're looking for another man, and I see that a lot where I might get someone who calls and they say, are you gay? So they'll see some of my research, which has been in lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender arena, and so they might assume that I am, that they're asking that I am because they want to only work with another gay person.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering for you, like, has that been part of your issue where people are wanting to know what your sexual orientation is?
Well, that is the first thing. That many patients come in and they want to know about my own sexual orientations, and there are many different ways in which people can answer that, and I'm not going to go into details related to that. But I think one of the things that plays out is also sort of like this desire to connect with a man, regardless of sexual orientation, or even more specifically, just connecting with a man who may be straight and who they want to have just a normal relationship with. And then there might be reasons for that. There might be underlying reasons for that.
Yeah, I could think of a few.
Right. But at the end of the day, what it plays out to be is almost sort of this idea, can I be accepted by another man who will not see me as weird or different because of my sexual orientation?
Because of being gay. And I think, so it does play to that same conversation about gender stereotypes. So even for a gay man, I'm still trying to maintain some masculinity, some stereotype that says I have to act a certain kind of way. Yeah. And I know that for sure. I mean, I know my partner, he can feel a little bit uncomfortable at times around straight men because of his own kind of gay identity. What we call that in the gay literature is called internalized heterosexism.
Yeah.
So we can internalize these messages that say I can or can't, I have to be a certain kind of way.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we're thankful to have people like Dr. Mercedes in the field so that you can really provide that relationship or that connection.
And it's amazing. It is amazing feeling for me as a psychologist to hear someone say, well, you treat me differently, and I perceive myself differently because of you. And that helps them also develop their own identity about being comfortable with who they are, and know that someone will be accepting of them, and also being able to know that may replicate itself outside of the therapeutic relationship.
Yeah, so one of the things that we see, and I'll leave you with this, is that no matter what it is, if it's about being gay, about being black, about being Hispanic, sometimes our jobs as a shrink is just really validating someone's experience and allowing them to be heard, maybe for the first time in their entire life. I'm Dr. Pete, thanks for being here.
And I'm Dr. Mercedes.